You're very welcome to episode 30 of the Scaling Your Business podcast. This episode, I have Jack Gaisford from Kent in the UK joining us. Jack, you're very welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Pleasure to be on.
Delighted to have you. As usual with guests, we always go back to the early days. You live in just outside of Kent in Canterbury, if I'm correct.
Yes, we do.
Beautiful part of the UK. I was born in England myself. I was born in Leicestershire, but my parents moved back to Ireland when I was 2 years old. But spent a lot of time in Birmingham and London as of late. I've not been out to Kent, but I've heard nice things about the place.
Kent do good beer, good food, nice country walks. Can't complain, really, man. It's a nice place to live.
That sounds like an ideal life for me. Once you said beers, I was there. Tell me, what was life like growing up in Kent?
Yeah, fine. Like, you know, it's I was born in Surrey, and then I moved into Kent when I was maybe 5 or 6. I don't remember the Surrey area, but it's nice. You've got some nice cool little villages around here as well. But it was mostly country pubs, long walks with the dogs, getting outside, getting muddy, those sorts of things, camping and all those bits and bobs. So I've always kind of grown up around sort of just having a bit of space, bit of land, country, those sorts of things. So
have you got any favorite memories? Like you mentioned walking the dogs or going for drinks. Have you got any standout memories from?
Not necessarily standout ones. I think it's more of just an overall nice childhood, fairly simple, lovely family, dogs, pets. So yeah, just the generic upbringing, I guess. Nothing too spectacular, mate. No.
Cool. Well, sounds like a good upbringing. Let's stick with the early days of Jack. Who were you most influenced by as a kid?
Oh God, that's a huge one. Who was I most influenced by as a kid? I used to like Elon Musk, and I still do. Obviously, he was still in his early days of building businesses and those sorts of things. So I used to find him really interesting. I used to really watch Richard Branson, which was a big one. I was interested in space when I was a kid, so everything with things like Virgin Galactic and those bits and bobs always have me really interested. But no, that's a tough question. Just to put it straight out there, I have no idea really, dude. Elon Musk, Richard Branson, the classics. If
there was an invite for Nectar Island, you'd say yes?
100%. Absolutely, yeah, 100%.
I love it.
Would you not?
I absolutely, yeah. No, just because you said Richard Branson, of course I'd say yes to it. I'd love to play a game of tennis. A tennis over there. Yeah. I would. One of the previous guests actually spent time over there, and he played tennis, and that's how I
nice. I'm
jealous. Learned about it. Yeah, definitely jealous as well. Forgive me if I pronounce this wrong, but you're the founder of V21.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you come from a family of entrepreneurs?
Yes, both my parents. My dad runs a marketing company, and my mum runs a counselling practice. So all of them have always had their own businesses. Grandparents have always had their own businesses. My granddad was a plumber. My other granddad set up lots of businesses as well and sold them. So have come from a family of sort of the entrepreneurial mindsets, I guess, which has kind of helped me build mine, I guess, to a certain degree. Yeah.
You've mentioned your parents, your grandparents. Did any of them have an influence on your decision to set up your own business?
My dad was the influence there. I remember working for him. So I came straight out of uni, went to find myself and travel around the world as you do. And then I got back, worked for his company for a little bit, hated it. And then he said, look, get off my business, go and set your own thing up. Give me a bit of a kick up the backside. And I kind of went and did it really. So, as cheesy as it sounds, if it wasn't for my dad, maybe I wouldn't be in the situation now. At the time I was thinking, bloody hell, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? But it's something I've always wanted to do, run my own thing. I've never really dealt well with authority and those sorts of bit bobs. So it's quite nice to be liable for actions and those sorts of things. So yeah, probably my dad, to be honest, man.
Me and you too, mate. Me and you too. I've had my wrist slapped too many times by corporate companies that I now work by myself. What's your and I do want to get into later in the podcast around small series you have on opinions, but what's your favorite part of being an entrepreneur or self-employed? If you can take any of those.
I think it comes down to responsibility. I think for me, it's that I am 100% liable for everything that the business puts out, or the people that we work with, or the type of work that we produce. It's there's nobody else's fault but my own. And you have to hold yourself accountable for when you make those mistakes. And I think that when you own up to those and you try and figure out a solution actually you grow and you learn a lot faster. Whereas, maybe when I was a designer, a good couple of years ago, that is never your fault. There's already a couple of other people that are part of that project, or there's many pieces of the puzzle there that you can put the blame on when situations get heated, and we've all had those sorts of situations. So I like the pressure and the stress actually of running a business. I think it keeps you on your toes.
If you want to be successful, you got to have drive. Where does your drive come from?
Being able to make enough money to go down to the pub and drink, and that's that's an awful answer, but it's mate, as long as I can, I've always said to my partner, as long as I can earn enough money that if I went out for a meal and I wouldn't have to look at the menu and look at the prices, then I would be pretty content. But it's backed up by doing something that I absolutely love every day. It's it's a passion. I used to be a bit of a YouTuber when I was younger, so I used to make a lot of content there. I used to make a lot of gaming videos as well, because I was going to be massively famous, and that never quite worked out. But yeah, it's driven by I just have a massive love for it, man. It's it's what I know. It's what I want to do for as far as I can see anyway. I just want to get better and better. So yeah, I absolutely love it.
I love this. Couple of countries haven't looked you up on social media you've been to: Norway, China, Southeast Asia. I know you're a dog lover. You own a dog. You've got tattoos. What's one thing that you're into or curious about that not a lot of people know about you?
I am fascinated by the ocean. There you go. That's one. I find it scary. It's almost like I don't know. I sound like one of those folk that have sort of metal tinfoil hats on, but I reckon aliens probably live there. So a bit of one of those weird people. I quite like conspiracy theories. I think it's mad to think that it's something like we've explored 7% of the planet, and the rest of the 93% or 95, whatever it is actually the ocean. We've never really explored it. So I'd love to figure out what's down there, what's right at the bottom. It fascinates me, man. It's scary, but it fascinates me.
Would you go swimming with sharks?
Yeah, it depends on what sort of sharks they were. But
you're in a cage.
Give it a go. Yeah, give it a go. No, I'd go free diving. I'd give it a go. If they were just not man-eating sharks, then I'd be pretty happy. Get some that are little herbivores. I'd be pretty happy with that.
Let's combine the ocean and conspiracy theories. Have you got a favorite show or podcast that you've listened to that has fed that conspiracy side of you?
No, not necessarily. It's probably just come from my partner watches a lot of conspiracy theories as well. So when she does her makeup, I just hear it all the time, and I'm quite interested in that as well. I like things like Blue Planet from David Attenborough. I've always found him a really cool guy. He's trying to make a huge change in a world that probably won't, and he's trying to make a big impact. I think that's probably sparked my inquisitiveness just slightly. But no, not necessarily. I think it's just I used to swim a lot when I was a kid. I've always been fascinated with things like planets and space, and just the bigger picture of we are one almost insignificant person on a planet that is fairly insignificant, and the bigger picture is that we live in a galaxy where there's hundreds of thousands of millions of others. It's crazy, and it puts things into perspective a little bit. I think that's again bringing it back to business. It helps put things, when you have those small moments in business, maybe you have a frustrating client, or you've missed a deadline, or maybe your car's broke down or something like that. Actually, don't stress about it, because there's so many bigger things that you can be concerned about, and it helps you deal with those situations. So it's a nice little tool as well.
I do want to get into business. I have one final question, because you've mentioned space. If you had the opportunity to go to the bottom of the ocean or to go to space, but only one, which one would you choose?
Oh no, I knew you were going to ask that. Oh, where would I go? Space. I got to go to space. 100%. I go to space. I think even though I love the ocean, I am much more fascinated with space. I've got a huge tattoo on my back of all the planets in the solar system. I would show you, but I'll have to get naked, and I don't think we'll have that.
You're all right.
It looks mad. But I don't know. Yeah, 100% space.
Nice. Building a base of customers. You got to do it to keep the lights on, or you're certainly got to retain customers if you're not going after to build customers. I have a thing called a cookbook. It's just a list of daily things I got to do to keep my clients or to grow clients, whether it's cold calling, emailing, networking. What's in your list so that you can either retain or continue to grow your business?
I spend a lot of time on business development. So it's all around making clients feel as comfortable and as happy in both the service that you provide and in that relationship that you have together all the time, whether that's taking clients, again, to the pub. There's a theme here, you can tell. Going out for dinner, going and doing, I don't know, paintballing, or obviously we haven't been able to do that the last year, but Before that, I made a really big effort to do a lot of that, and it will be coming into fruition again soon, I guess. But it's the whole thing. It's just, if you do good work and you underpromise and overdeliver, which I'd like to think that we always do, and just be a genuinely nice person to people that you guys work with, have that relationship. It works both ways. You do a good service, they pay you your worth, whatever you perceive as that value, and that relationship continues. It only ever breaks down if it's one way and maybe they're not getting a good service. So it's a balance of everything, man. But I try my best to really put a lot of time into building those relationships.
For anyone who's seen you online, your setup is sick. You put a lot of time.
Good.
Your new room or office is deadly. I know you spend a lot of time there over the weekends getting it set up. When people are posting content or they're attempting to build their brand today, what do they do that frustrates you?
I think the biggest thing for me right now, and this changes from week to week, it depends on what I've seen on social media, really. It's the gurus that have been in, and again, I can't really say much because I've only been in business for 3 years. I'd like to think that I know my stuff when it comes to social and when it comes to marketing and video production, but I don't know everything that there is to know about that, and I'm very open about that. It's the people who are in business and start a new company and don't have experience in that, and suddenly they're telling everybody how to do it. Especially in marketing, there are so many different ways, and usually the answer is it depends. There's so many different variations of that. There's not a one size fits all. And you see all these guys selling these courses and building big personal brands, and then using that and monetizing that to get people from other people to train them on some very basic information that you can find pretty much all over the internet. It's that's what it's a hard one. There are other things as well, but for me at the moment, it's the people that almost fake their way to fame or fake their way to getting new business. It doesn't sit well with me, and it's just, if you don't know, be honest, and people appreciate your story and your transparency much more than saying that you're the best at everything. But that's, I guess, how I've been brought up, or what I've just found works for me. But it's different for everybody. It's there's no secret formula, there's no magic potion to success. It just happens. Again, going back to just building good relationships with people, providing a very good service or a good product or whatever it is that you do, and patience. That's all it is. People don't give things enough time all the time.
I love that answer. I reckon we're a similar age, and I have been to several talks and given some talks. And one thing around content that I see a lot of people say is, Rian, if I have to pick between the following two things: one, an hour of cold calling and pure prospecting, or an hour of content creation, I can get more bang for my buck short term from doing the cold calling, prospecting, rather than the content creation. What would you say to someone who purely just focuses on the prospecting, cold calling, and doesn't give any thought to creating content in terms of the long term?
Again, all relative to the situation. So if it works for you and it's going to continue working for you, there's absolutely no reason to stop doing it. Continue doing it, double down on it if it's working. There's no need to make content if it's working for you. Content it seems to be this like marketing spiel word that people have used, and it's almost like it ticks all the boxes. It doesn't at all. Content is such a small, finite amount of the bigger picture in running a business. It's I don't even know what percentage it would be, but for us, maybe it's 10-20% of everything else that we do. So you have got to do the cold calls, you have got to do the marketing, inbound, outbound, organic, paid. You've got to do everything to generate that sort of business. But again, it's relative to what you do. Let's say, I don't know, pharmaceuticals, maybe cold calls is better. But for, let's say, video production companies on a particular social media, maybe making content organically is the best way for you, but it just takes time. It depends really on how much money you've got, how much you're willing to invest, how much you can put down, because that's going to make the production better, or bigger campaigns, smaller campaigns. There's so many different variations. But me, I'd say try and give everything a go and just figure out what works for you. If you see that cold calling works best, do cold calling. It's totally relative to what you do.
Gotcha. You've got a YouTube channel, and a couple of videos feature a friend of yours, I assume. And the particular series I'm talking about is opinions on Have you got a favorite episode that you've done or you've recorded and not released?
Oh God, so that's Ross. So Ross is an editor at V21, but we just click really well together. So we're both we both like to share our opinions on certain things. I think for us it was more of an experiment, that series, to see if people will get involved, if people will engage. And it's interesting to see, what has done best out of all of them. The best one was talking about university and whether it was a scam or not. Because we've all been to uni. Those sort of 24, 25-year-olds now are probably starting to reflect on that a little bit, whether it was worth it. But I felt that there wasn't really much that I got out of uni in terms of maybe a tangible job or any sort of step up that ladder that helps me in that way. Because I had friends that didn't go to uni and actually got a job straight out of college or school or whatever they were setting up on their own. So it was a video around, is it actually a scam? Is it worth it? Why are we spending $9,500 a year on a course? A year, on a course that actually, especially now, you can't even go into uni. You can't have physical lessons, and you're still paying the same amount. That absolutely blew up. I think it reached a couple of 100,000 views. We had so many new inquiries for work through that. It was ridiculous. It was one of the best pieces of content that we've made, and it was a 2-3 minute video around me and Ross just chatting about how much we don't like uni. It's the power of socials, point proven right there, right? It was it was mad. It was crazy.
I didn't know that is how much uni cost in the UK.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's expensive. That's like half the price of US, and US is just extortionate.
It's ridiculous, and that's discarding things like your rent, your food, general activities, even things like university books. I mean, they're probably £100 minimum per book. It's all these. It all adds up. I think the average is maybe sort of 30 to 40k debt you have after uni, if you haven't been able to get some help. So it's not cheap, man. It's not cheap.
it was 1,500 a year, all in, for uni. I did for 4 years.
Wow, that will cover your first month's rent, mate. That's that's about it. It's ridiculous in the UK. But it's just whether or not it's worth it. I don't think it is. But hey, that's it's a conversation for another day. But yeah, I didn't get 50k's worth of value from it. I can tell you that now.
Advice to someone who's thinking of starting a business, what would you say to them?
Depends on the age, I think. I think I've learned in 3 years a lot, mostly around maturity and around things like authority, leadership skills, personal development. I think I've been reading a lot of books, learning a lot about that. But yeah, go for it. If you feel that you can put in the time and the effort to grow something, or if you've got a really big drive and passion to achieve something, give it a go. There's only one way to figure out if it will succeed, and that's just by getting off your bum and giving it a go, right? Sometimes you'll kick yourself for not doing it. Sometimes you'll kick yourself for doing it. It depends on the outcome. But I think it's a lot of work. People glorify running a business on social media. They'll have their Lamborghinis and their Ferraris and their nice houses and their racks of cash. But in reality, actually, I feel like if you're a good business owner, especially a small business owner, a lot of the time you take maybe less than your staff, you reinvest everything that you profit on, you work longer hours. I got back at 2 a.m. last night from a shoot, and I got back in the office at 8 this morning. It's those sort of hours sometimes. And you've just got to grind. And that's basically it. But it's important to take time for yourself. And that's what I've been learning recently as well. If I'm not performing at my best, my staff aren't performing at their best, the business isn't performing at its best. So you've got to reflect, you've got to develop yourself personally, you've got to understand when to take that step and that breath and chill out and just reflect. But yeah, absolutely give it a go. If you feel like you can do it, give it a go. Nice
advice. Going back to your YouTube briefly, momentarily, you had another video on how not to public speak. You talk about answering a question post-talk and how, I don't know, was it nerves or whatever kicked in? How's the journey been since then in terms of public speaking?
So I annoyingly, I really wanted to get into this, and this was one of my first, if I remember correctly, this was one of my first kind of speaking gigs at the time. There's only maybe 50 people there, but for me that was huge. But and then COVID hit. So not much happened in that sort of area. I did a couple over Zoom. I think I did one a couple of weeks ago for like 200-300 people. It doesn't feel the same though. You're sitting in a room on your own, and it's like you're not really there. You can't sense the room. You can't feel what people are feeling. So it does just feel like you're doing a presentation to a client, or you're just having a catch up. It's a bit different. You can't get as animated as well, I feel like, on Zoom. But it was it's a difficult one, because obviously I'm used to making a lot of content, and I'm very, very knowledgeable in what I do. But it's almost as soon as I have that pressure of people are expecting that answer then, and maybe kind of like maybe you're asking me now. I don't know the questions that you're asking me, and sometimes you get a bit of a curveball. And I got asked a bit of a curveball there, and I just kind of didn't know what to say. My brain kind of froze. It was just the most uncomfortable.
Well, let me ask this then. Let me ask this. You're very good at creating and shooting videos. So for anyone who doesn't have confidence in that department, would you have any advice for them?
Keep going. 100% keep going. It's a journey. It's not around making the best video first time. Actually, in hindsight, you look back and go, cool, all of those crap videos that I made have taught me something. I've learned some sort of lesson from it, whether that was around marketing or whether that was around production or whatever it might be. But you've just got to give it a go. You've got to stay really persistent with it. But if you don't enjoy it, then don't force yourself to do it. There are so many other options that you can go down. It's, again, like I said earlier, it's not just the golden gates to success. There's so many other ways you can do it. But for me, I'm a creative at heart. I love making that sort of stuff. So if you are that sort of person you're listening, then absolutely go for it. Put yourself out there, tell your story, be transparent, be authentic. And over time people buy into you. That's how it works. Stop building those relationships early.
2 final questions. I think I know the answers to the first one. What do you like to spend time doing outside of work?
I am a massive gamer. So I've got a huge gaming rig at home. It's just how I switch off from work. I again, maybe a common theme. I'll have a couple of beers, chill out with the boys in the evening, play a bit of Call of Duty or something like that, and just chill, catch up. It's just sort of that mind numbing, just sit and shoot and have a drink and whatnot. But that's how I chill out. But I've been a gamer for a long time. I used to do a lot of stuff on YouTube as well. I just think it's important to have that sort of personal time, not just sitting at home and watching YouTube videos on how to, best lights for video or different types of camera equipment. That's what I see as work now, which is a bit of a shame. I used to love doing that sort of stuff and really researching stuff, but it's now more of a, right, we've got to do some research on camera equipment. Here we go. But yeah, man, I love gaming. It's and making music. I like making music as well. So yeah, either.
Do you play an instrument, or is it just like?
Yeah, I like to say that I do. I'd like to say I play a bit of drums. I play piano quite well. I play guitar really well. So yeah, a couple. Anything more than that's maybe a little bit outside my comfort zone, but I can pick things up pretty quickly. They've got not necessarily perfect pitch and maybe just one out, but I can pretty much recite a song on the piano if you were to play it to me. So yeah, it's cool.
That's a lot more than I can do. Final question for you, Jack. I want you to imagine it's the end of the decade, so it's 2030, and you're looking back on the last 9-10 years. What would you like to have achieved?
What would I like to have had achieved? My honest answer would be nothing even related to business. It's just to spend more time with the people that you value most. Really, that's it. I don't get a lot of time to do it. I think with everything opening up, pubs opening up, shops opening up, it's a kick up my arse to be like, right, just take the day off and go and see your mates, or go and see Nan, or spend time with mum and dad, go see the dogs. It's those sort of things that I think when I'm older, I think I will regret if I don't do. There's always time to build a business, and but it's important to look after yourself a bit more. So I think take time for more family and friends.
Amazing. We'll leave it there. Jack, thank you very much for your time today.
No worries, dude. Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure.